Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kristen and this is Growing Zone 9B, where we talk about all kinds of things like spirituality, healing, health, mental health, because that's the field that I'm in, etc. So, alright, so I'm feeling under the weather, so today's video is mostly focused on a hydrating drink to bring you back to your normal self. So we did the fire cider. Make sure that you go back and check out those videos for fire cider. But today's video is going to be on a drink that can actually really hydrate you. So I don't really have a name for it. It's just a hydrating drink. But it's a really simple thing to make, but it's super good. My fiance, how we discovered this was my fiance, he was at a football game, the 49ers, I think. I don't know. But he went somewhere up north, because we're in Florida, and he went way up north where it was snowing, and he went with his friend, and long story short, he came back with basically a really bad case of food poisoning. He thought he was going to die, and he was turning gray, literally. So it was really bad. And it was, I think it was around the time of COVID when getting into the hospital was a little more difficult, and he did not have COVID at that time. So we were trying to figure out a home remedy to try to make him better and kind of rehydrate him from being on the road and being sick the entire time. And this is what we discovered. And ever since then, we have been using it. And so for people that might not know this recipe, I absolutely want to share it, because if you're getting like the flu, or you're having flu-like symptoms, or you are having basically like the stomach flu, something like that, where you're going to be vomiting, diarrhea, just not feeling your best self, or let's just say here in Florida, we go and get outside and we're outside for too long, and what ends up happening is that you start to get dehydrated and you don't realize it. So this is also a good recipe to use for that, to kind of try to rehydrate your body. So it's super simple. I have the large Tervis cup. I don't know how much water that actually is, because I don't really pay attention to Tervis, but it's a fairly decently large cup. I would say if you had a regular coffee mug, it's probably a solid 2 coffee mugs, or maybe 2.5. So I've just went over to the Zephyrhills water machine that we have, and I filled it with hot water, so you can see that it's got hot, steamy water in it. Okay, I'm gonna bring you guys down just a little bit so you can see the counter. All right, so what you're gonna need is, that's Luna. Also, I said I can never shoot a video without the dogs, without something happening. All right, so you're gonna need a half a lemon. I've gone ahead and sliced these lemons. You're gonna squeeze them both here into the cup. Make sure you don't get any seeds, because you don't want anybody getting sick from, or choking, or sicker than they already are because they're choking. All right, so I've got my 2 lemons in, and of course I get all the seeds in there. Exactly what I wanted to avoid, but that's all right. You are going to need 2 tablespoons of honey. This is the honey that we are going to use today. This is one of my favorite, and it's more easily found here in Florida as opposed to getting it from the other company that I buy from, where I get the big gallon sizes. So I got to get this open. Honey's really healing in itself anyway. It's antifungal. So that's really good. I also have another little trick that I'm going to share with you guys here in a second. All right, so 2 teaspoons. I'm going to be honest with you. I love the honey. So I'm going to put at least a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons, just because that's what I prefer. And this is a larger cup, so do what you like. All right, so we're going to do that. And then you want to do 1 teaspoon of Redmond's real salt. Real salt from Redmond's is mineralized salt, and that's why it's so good for you. This is not the kind of salt that you get just over the counter. So that's why I highly recommend that you all invest in this Redmond's real salt. You will not regret it. So you are putting 1 teaspoon of salt in there. That seems like a lot, but remember, we're trying to rehydrate our body and get our body back into shape after being, having a stomach flu or something like that. Now remember, this is not an end-all be-all cure. This is to get you through the healing process. right, so there you have it. So it's a super hydrating drink. It's really good for you. It's an alternative, especially if you don't have something around to help support you. Like, you know, I know a lot of people like to drink Gatorades or Powerades. Honestly, I like Powerades. I know that they're not the best for you, but I do like a blue Powerade. That's one of my favorites. But, you know, if you don't have that and you just have this, know that it's important to keep citrus around. Here's another little trick. So I have those preserved or fermented lemons, limes, and tangerines in the refrigerator. One of the good aspects of preservation is that if I didn't have a fresh lemon to go ahead and put in here, because that lemon is so heavily salted, I would personally rinse it out first still, even though you are adding salt to this, because I think those lemons already have enough salt in them that they've absorbed. And so you're not really going to need to worry about it. But remember, I told you to pull out the centers, because really what you're wanting from that lemon is to actually eat the outside of the rind. Here's a perfect example of how you could utilize the inside of that lemon. Is that you want to make a hydrating tea with it, a hydrating drink with it, because at that point you're really taking those juices and salt and you're implementing it into your drink, so you are not needing to add that, and that's an extra way to use it instead of having waste. So all you're going to need is that hot water and honey at that point. So just keep that in mind, that that is another way to get the hydration back into your system, which is super important when you're feeling under the weather or not well, or you've exhausted yourself out on the lawnmower or being out in the garden. So just keep that in mind. This is not just for when you're sick. So always good to keep natural stuff around and home remedies to just keep yourself doing as well as you can until you can maybe get to a doctor or a physician or to a hospital or wherever you may need to go. So this is not to replace anything. This is just to actually help you. All right, so the next little trick is something that my doctor taught, a pediatric doctor taught my family a long time ago, and it actually works really well. And I'll get it, hang on. All right, so if you're starting to feel like you're getting a sore throat or something is coming on you like that, I have nephews that often get strep throat. You can use white vinegar. White vinegar. All right, and how you're gonna do that is that, you know how you gargle with salt water? That's something like I think everybody knows, is you put a little bit of salt in some warm water and then you start gargling with it to pull out the bacteria out of your throat and your tongue and your mouth. And so one of the greatest ways to basically kill off that streptococcal virus in your throat area, in you know, upper mouth and all that, where you're getting all that funk from, is you want to do the same equivalent that you would do for like salt and water, warm water to gargle. You're going to do it with the white vinegar in warm water. So my recommendation is that you get a shot glass, you fill that up with some warm, you fill that up with vinegar, the white vinegar, and then you just dump that into a nice mug-sized cup of warm water. You stir it all around, and then you gargle with that. You need to gargle with it for at least, you know, 3 times a day within the first 24 to 48 hours of feeling those symptoms, and I guarantee you, you will start to feel some relief. I have personally experienced this, and so I am sharing this with you. So if you're not able to get to a doctor's right away or something to get some type of medicine, because like I said, I am not a physician, I am in the field of mental health, I am just giving you some insight into how you can help to support your body. And there's nothing wrong with naturally supporting your body as long as you are under, you know, somebody who is providing you with some medical assistance. So these are just some tips and tricks that you may just want to keep on hand, so that way you can help to, you know, just get your antibodies and body healing as it needs to. So, and I know a lot of people, I have some friends that travel, and so when they don't feel well and they can't necessarily get into like their doctor because their doctor's here in Florida and they're up in, let's just say, Michigan or Iowa, this is an easy trick or tip for them to be able to utilize while they are out on the road. All right, everyone, so I just wanted to share that with you. Oh, wait, I forgot one. One of the other things that I like to do too before I go to bed to help relax and reduces inflammation, which I don't have the bag right here in front of me, but you all know what powdered turmeric looks like. Make yourself what they call a golden milk, which is, I just take the coconut milk, which you guys know I've used before. I have one down here, hang on. Always carry one of these with you, like especially if you're traveling, because this is important to be able to have on hand, and then just pull it out when you need it, and you don't have to have refrigeration for it. So this is the organic unsweetened vanilla coconut milk from Whole Foods, which I absolutely love. You're going to take a little bit of that and you're going to mix it in. I would say 1 cup of this to at least like maybe a half, let's go with a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric. Because if your body's not used to having turmeric can really, it does really well at pulling out inflammation, and then that can make you not feel as well either. So start off with like maybe a 1/4 teaspoon. You could build it up to a 1/2 teaspoon, and then just mix that in. You don't want it to be too powdery or chalky. You just want to get enough in your system that you're starting to heal, and you can do that, you know, several times. But I do even sometimes now just like to do it in the evenings, just to wind my body down and find some relaxation for myself. So again, just keep that all in mind, that these are just all lovely things that you can do just to even just help yourself or to try something different. You don't necessarily have to be dehydrated to drink this, but most of us are. Most of us are not getting enough water. We're not getting enough fluids in our system. And we are actually quite often dehydrated. So we just don't realize how dehydrated that we really are. I can tell you I am, because you sit constantly or you're working with people and then you just don't take your breaks like you should, and you know, you're not getting up and going to the bathroom. You'll cause yourself to have kidney stones and all kinds of other issues. So with the salt in here, it actually causes me to be more thirsty in reality, and then so I am more likely to pick up some water and then start pushing other fluids. And then the other thing is you know, we brought in a bunch of ginger in one of my previous videos, and so I have 20-30 pounds of ginger, and I told y'all that I have been keeping it stored in the freezer. Now I also have a dehydrator in which I dehydrated a bunch of ginger. So, you know, you can do that on the daily. You can have a nice cup of brewed homemade ginger tea that you can make yourself, put a little bit of lemon in it, drop some of those dehydrated chunks of ginger in it, and then you've got yourself a lovely tea. And if you're traveling, those dehydrated products actually last really well. And so there is some more little tidbits and tricks on how to keep yourself well and healthy as we continue to move forward into all these stomach flus and things that seem to be just going back and forth with everyone. So until next time, love one another, be kind. See you guys in the next one.